Hello, good morning students, and welcome back once again to another video for the Human Eye and Colorful World, class 10. So today we will be revising all the important points that we have studied in the chapter. And the first important one was the human eye. As the name suggests for the chapter, we are going to study the human eye. Okay? It is one of the important organs that gives us the sense of sight, and we are going to study and revise all the parts of the human eye and how it works. So human eye is roughly spherical in shape, and the transparent front part is the cornea. Okay. The next is iris. Iris is the part of the eye which gives us our eyes the colors. Many of us have black colored eyes, some have green or blue colored eyes and brown colored eyes. Okay, that is given by iris. It is a muscular structure in the center of which is a hole. Okay, and why is this a muscular structure? Because depending on the amount of light, this iris expands and contracts. Okay, if there is more light, then it is going to contract and make the size of the hole, which is called pupil, very small, so that only limited amount of light enters your eyes and it does not damage it. Okay, because more light can damage our eyes, and so that is controlled by iris. Okay. Now iris obviously controls the size of pupil. What is pupil? Pupil is a small hole in the center of iris. So first of all, light enters through cornea, then it falls on iris. Iris is the muscular structure in our human eye in the front part, which gives our eyes the color it has. Okay, but the important part it is muscular structure and it controls the size of pupil. So what is pupil? Pupil is a small hole through which the light actually enters inside our eyeball. Okay. So light is transferred from cornea and then iris, and iris is a small hole pupil. That from that pupil the light enters inside our eyeball. Okay, and the size of pupil, that is the hole through which the light enters, it is controlled by iris. Okay, and after entering from pupil, it falls on our jelly-like natural crystalline lens, which is transparent. Why is it jelly-like? Because we need to change the path of the light depending on from where we are observing the object, and this natural jelly-like lens is held together in place by ciliary muscles. These muscles are actually holding our eye lens. Okay, and because of the ciliary muscles only, the size of the lens is controlled. We will be coming on to that point. Okay, and then the light after transferring from lens, it refracts on one point because it is a natural convex lens, and that is why it is going to converge the light, and the convergence of the light is happening at one focus point on retina. Okay, so the light falls on retina, and after that we are able to see the object, because on the retina we have light sensitive cells which convert this light into nervous signals, and these nervous signals are sent to the brain through optic nerves. Very simple. Enters from cornea, iris controls the size of pupil, depending on the amount of light entering the eyes, then light falls on lens converges the light on the retina. Retina has sensory cells which convert light into electrical signals, and these signals are sent to the brain through optic nerves. Okay, this is the short relation. The next is power of accommodation. What is this power? So we know about the power of the lens, how much it can converge or how much it can diverge the light. Generally the lens of a thicker size converges the light more, and then the lens which are thinner converges the light less. They are obviously going to converge, but the focus point is far away. That means focal length is more for thin lenses, and focal length is less for thick lenses. And this power of our natural jelly-like lens, convex lens, can be changed. And this ability of our eye lens to change its power accordingly is called power of accommodation. Now, when sometimes this power of accommodation has a certain problems due to age or natural defects, and because of this, our eyeball or our vision has develops defects, and because of this, we are not able to see the object clearly. And these defects are myopia, which is near or short-sightedness. That means a person can only see a nearby object, not far away object. He or she is only able to see nearby objects and not far away objects. For example, like us, if we are sitting on the last bench without the glasses, we are not able to see what is written on the board. Okay, we require the glasses to see far away objects. Okay, so we are suffering from myopia. And generally the people with old age, those who are not able to read the newspapers or magazines, they are having hypermetropia, far or long-sightedness. That means they can see the far away objects, but they are unable to read the nearby objects or see the nearby objects. And for that they require different type of spectacles. This spectacle will not work because the defect is different. Okay? For nearsightedness, we wear concave lenses, and for hypermetropia, that is far-sightedness, we wear convex lenses. Okay? The next is presbyopia. Now, people after a certain age develop both of these defects. That means they can neither see far away objects or nearby objects. The natural lens is in such position that it cannot change its power completely. It is fixed at one single point, and that is why such defect is called presbyopia. And you might have seen very old age people having bifocal lenses. They have a small circle or a line in the center of their glasses, where the top portion is for looking far away objects and the bottom portion is for reading the newspapers and magazines. Okay, so those type of defects are called presbyopia. And the next one is cataract. Okay, in this the eye lens, our natural eye lens, becomes foggy and hazy, and people are not able to see the objects anything. It is not about the power of accommodation. Light entering inside is quite less. Okay. It's like watching through a fog. You are not able to see properly. Same thing is happening over here. In cataract, the light is unable to reach the lens properly, and that is why such a defect is called cataract. And for this particular defect, this natural lens is removed, and instead of that, artificial lens is inserted with the help of operations. So that is for the defects. Now we are going to study about refraction through prism. So we studied that in glass lab, the ray of light passes from one end, enters on the other, it bends a little bit, but when it emerges, once again, its direction is same. But for prism, we had something totally different. So for example, if the light entered from this side, it refracted, and because of the shape, the angle is slanted that way. So once again, it refracts, but not in this direction, it refracts from the other direction. So it changes its path completely. Okay, this is the refraction through prism, and this angle over here, how much it has diverted from its original path, is called angle of deviation delta. It is called angle of deviation. Angle of deviation. That means how much the ray of light has deviated from its original path. Very simple. We know how it works. Light enters from one side because of the normal. We know that it bends towards the normal like this, and when it enters from this side, one medium to another medium, it bends away from the normal. Okay, as you can see, it was supposed to go that way, but it is bent away from the normal, and hence we know that the refraction of prism changes its direction completely, unlike the glass slab. The next is dispersion through prism. Now, when a beam of, we were talking about one single ray of light, but when a beam of light enters, white light enters the prism, because of the wavelength difference in all the different colors, as soon as the beam enters the prism, all the different colors are dispersed. They are separated from one single beam because of the change in the wavelength or frequency variations. Okay, like this. And on the top we have red color, and this one is the violet color. So big beyond happens in this direction, violet having the least wavelength and therefore it refracts the most, and red color having the maximum wavelength, it refracts the least. Refraction of the red color happens the least. Isaac Newton tried to disperse the light even more, and therefore he used two prisms, but unfortunately he could not disperse the light any longer. What he observed that when he kept these two prisms at a certain angle, then on the other side only one single beam of white light emerged, because the refraction of all the colors happened once again, and because of the refraction and change in the wavelength, they combine once again to one single beam of light after refraction, and one single beam of light emerged from the other side. Similar to this dispersion, the natural dispersion happens in our environment, that is rainbow, after a rainfall near a mountain or near a mountain waterfall or a fountain as well. If the particles are minute and enough, then the beam of light refracts and disperses, and therefore it creates a rainbow. Very simple. And the rainbow always happens in the opposite direction of the sunlight. And how does the rainbow happens? Simple. Let's imagine this is a raindrop. Light enters, disperses into its colors. Over here, internal reflection takes place, and after internal reflection, it bounces back and reflects once again into the atmosphere by exiting a raindrop. Very simple. This is how the dispersion of light takes place, and it creates a rainbow from one single water droplet. We also studied about the atmospheric refraction. When the density around a particular area in the atmosphere changes, we see that the light is changing, and that is why we see the wavy deformation happening when we observe a steam or a hot bonfire lit somewhere. Okay, this is very simple because of the pressure variations. The atmosphere density also changes, and that is why the refraction capabilities also changes continuously, and we see a hazy image when we observe a fire or when we observe water boiling or steam or anything else. That is what you observe anything behind it, you see that it is hazy. We discussed more about this in the last video. Now we will be moving on to the next topic, that is the refraction of light, once again continuation, and the twinkling of the stars in the next video. Till then, have a nice day.